In 1800, Virginia issued a report, sometimes known as Madison's Report, following up on the Virginia resolutions of 1798. And in those follow-up resolutions, Madison clarified that we need a remedy for when even the judicial branch betrays us. So it's not enough to say, oh, the courts will put things right. That's not what Madison thought. We need a remedy for when the courts betray us. The courts are not composed of infallible human beings, because there's no such thing. In fact, think about Thomas Jefferson's attitude toward the federal courts. His argument was the federal courts are part of the problem. I mean, you want me to go and refer my disputes to them? They're part of the problem. The problem is the federal government, and last I checked, the federal courts are part of the federal government. They can't possibly be impartial arbiters. Let's suppose you and I had a dispute. I know this would never happen, but let's suppose we did. And then I said to you, I have just the person to adjudicate this dispute. How about my mother? Now look, my mother, she's still alive, and I want to say in her honor, and with respect to her, she's a very fair-minded person. She might side with the other guy. I wouldn't bet on it, though. I mean, we have known each other a long time. So in other words, this is clear, right? When two parties are having a dispute, you don't let one of the parties of the dispute render the decision. And so the idea of state nullification, that the states formed the federal government in the first place, they are the principals. The federal government is merely their agent. The employee does not tell the employer what to do. Try doing that, by the way. See what happens. That is not how it is supposed to work. Another thing about the federal courts, by the way, the Jeffersonian view is that they're probably just going to rubber stamp what the federal government is doing. Well, how many times can one guy be a prophet? Like a zillion? I mean, of course he's right. That's exactly what they do. What do the federal courts spend most of their time doing these days? Going after the states. Because apparently they're all finished going over the constitutionality of federal laws. They've done all that. So they got a lot of spare time, and they're going to... I mean, you would think that would keep them busy enough, but no, on to the states. But what it all boils down to is this: the federal government will not and should not be expected to limit itself. That ain't going to happen. You do not establish an institution like this, then hand it a piece of paper and say, go limit yourself. What possible incentive does this institution have to limit itself? So it's enough to dangle. We've tried dangling carrots in front of it. It's time for the stick, I say, because if it is going to be limited, if that's even possible, obviously something outside itself has to do the limiting. Just common sense. Well, according to Jefferson, the logical candidate for that role would be the states. That is their role. As the principals to the compact, they determine when the compact has been